Well, his whole thing is he errs on the side of like he thinks it's not cool to be an influencer, so he says. But
But I remember him talking about the acting thing and how they're kind of like two separate things. Like
exactly.
that really helped him, right? Maybe in some aspects, but in terms of like broad strokes career.
It's a question of the chicken or the egg first. Because like Tanner is super plugged in Hollywood. He just is. He knows big actors, which is help influentially because he sees how the top people work, all this stuff. Um, you know, so it helps in a lot of ways, but so much of the influencer stuff, it's the stigma on it that people are afraid of. And if you look at the content, so-called, that they put out, it's kind of cringeworthy. So to me, obviously, it's kind of a little bit more glamorous because I'm coming from the standpoint of like, I just want to do really good work. It doesn't have to be a certain tone or anything. It doesn't have to be indie. It doesn't have to be comedy even. It doesn't have to be horror. And I'm coming from the standpoint of like, if you make it good, then they can't take it away from you, even if you're an influencer. Like if you make your own thing, I think you still got to make your own stuff if you're an influencer. But I think you have more access. People will take you more seriously if you have a strong internet presence. It doesn't even have to be huge. Just, I was showing my coworker today your YouTube page.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and first
Thanks,
of
bro.
all, yeah, no, of course, and she's like, that's huge that he does all this stuff, like has all these followers and stuff, and it caught me off guard again how many videos you have. I'm like, dude, this guy, they can't take that away from him. Like that is as much as you like are proud of that. It's you already know it's so warranted. It's a lot.
Dude, I really appreciate you saying that. Um,
Yeah,
and I love how some of our biggest videos are the ones we've done together. It's sick.
that is amazing.
Yeah.
Not the biggest ones, but the fact that we had a little passion projects and it turned out to not be bombs. That's awesome.
Yeah, I had no idea too. Like going into those, I had no
Right.
concept it's gonna get that big, for whatever reason it just
Oh,
caught.
yeah.
But
So
yeah,
how are
dude,
you doing?
I'm good, bro. Speaking of the YouTube shit, I'm like tripling down, dude. This is like tier two. Like we're going in the second gear. I'm going on vacation with my family. So this last week we shot 6 shorts. One of them was a proper like lockdown setup that I'm like, it's the best thing I've ever done. It's called The Crooked Man. And it's like really cinematic, really nicely shot, great story, great creature. So I'm stoked about that. And then we're just keeping the weekly thing going. But dude, it just makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense to me. Like from a directing perspective, I get to hone my craft every single week. If one doesn't hit, it's like, fuck it. I'm coming out with another one next week. Just keep them going, building that online presence. And the thing is, too, bro, online, like YouTube wise, short horror space wise, I'm still a super early adopter. I think it's me at like my level. There's maybe like 6 other people who are doing the same kinds of things. And I feel like now is the time to strike, you know?
100%. I agree. You have the audience.
Yeah. And if I want to leverage it into a feature or whatever, I get to retain creative control and it gets funded directly from my fans. It's like what, and then I have a built-in audience ready to see it. And at the end of the day, that's all that studios give a shit about. They only care about audience. They only care if they're going to sell tickets. And so even if I'm thinking about, yeah, like I want to hitch myself to a studio, they're going to be attracted to that built-in audience.
Well, I just analyzing it, which I know you have already. The audience that you have is not reliable enough to like make money on for a feature film, probably, right?
At
It's
this,
not.
no, 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 no.
No, it's not. However, it's just proof. You guys have tangible proof that
Yeah,
you have succeeded storytelling for an audience. It's
right,
not some crappy little Sundance thing that no one sees.
right.
Like prestigious or not, you guys have made cinematic stuff that a lot of people will watch. Now, if it's yet to be proven if it's like the studio size, but who's to say that if that was a feature film with the studio type of marketing, that it wouldn't be?
Right.
You can make that. It's not too much to make that leap, in my opinion.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree,
Yeah.
bro. And I have a buddy who's also a horror filmmaker, who lives out in Atlanta. We talk every week, and he's like, because he's doing the same type of thing, and he's like, there might come a point where we have a big enough audience to where, like, if a studio approaches us and they're getting Final Cut and all this shit, and they want to make notes and whatever, I might leave that on the table, because if I already have this built-in audience where I'm able to like make a living, make the films I want and everything, why wouldn't I want to go indie?
Yeah. Actually, 100%, it'll give you leverage, like what you just said. But I think the bigger point isn't that like you have the built-in audience already that will like stay loyal to whatever you do. It's that you've proven that some audience likes your taste.
Right.
And if you translate that to having marketing on a bigger level, a studio size level, that that audience is out there to attack on a bigger level. Now, is it a slam dunk? Not necessarily, but I think it's a better bet than a lot of like first time filmmakers who just, you guys are right in the race. You have a real angle to come from.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that, bro. You affirming that too is like, it just like I'm in the right, I feel like I'm in the right pocket. Before I was like, it's easy to have the ego and be like, yo, like I'm gonna sit back, I'm gonna like write scripts. That's the headspace I was at before, where I'm like, I'm gonna be chosen by these gatekeepers. But fuck all that shit. Like I can just make whatever I want, still get an audience, get views, and at the end of the day, that's what's reliable. Like that's what's gonna get me access to CAA or wherever the fuck. It's not like being discovered, you know?
Today, it's not too dissimilar to what I'm going through and what everyone in the creative space is on some level
Yeah.
going through. It's not. I don't think it's one or the other. As not saying that you do either, but you'll constantly be reevaluating this stuff.
Yeah.
It'll be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It'll be you're doing this stuff, but then also trying to do the feature stuff, and because that's the ultimate goal for you and every other filmmaker. And the only thing is this is a very relevant thing at the moment. It's in your back pocket. You already have a leg up in that sense.
Mm.
And it is a very good thing creatively. You're able to really hone in. So I think it's not bad to be uh adapting, always kind of reevaluating
Yeah.
what those
Flexible. Yeah.
we want to do. Be flexible with it, and you don't have to have the answers. The good news is you have the success. You do have wins.
Right.
Can't take
But
that away.
the thing about that too is the only real wins that I've gotten, the real tangible wins, have been through YouTube. Nothing else, bro. I haven't won like a script competition.
What other people have YouTube wins? Well, you're just saying 6? That's
Yeah, yeah,
not a lot.
no, and bro, I'm not downplaying that. Just saying, like, when I think about doubling down on where the success lies, it's like, why wouldn't I even go deeper into the thing that I found success at instead of like spreading myself thin? Like, yeah, keep myself flexible, but I also want to acknowledge, like, I've had all this success in this one specific space. It's that whole thing of essentialism and like really honing into the one thing. I think sometimes that like really specific focus can benefit you.
Well, your goal is eventually to do studio, like a classic movie that's in theaters, right?
Yeah.
And that'll adapt and grow too. But I think recognizing that in a positive way, the industry's changed to really appreciate online and quicker satisfaction and stuff. And you have wins in that area. You don't have to put your eggs in that basket. I think it's more of a mental win for you and a win for you to pitch to people to where you eventually want to go. That,
Right.
hey, we do have this, and to recognize the reality of that value. It's not that you need to grab a hold of that and say, this is me, this defines me, but just recognizing that, like, this is a part of the world right now, and we've checked that off.
Right.
And, you know, we want to go into this direction, we want to stay in this direction, but to also just like take stock, appreciate it, and just know that you have those good options. And that's just a good place to be at.
Totally, totally, bro. I also think that people operate differently. Like people think about, like, some people feel like they need to spend 7, 8 months on one short in order to get it to like a certain quality. And I've been given that advice a bunch where it's like, why am I putting out this much shit? Why don't I just like really dig deep on like one project? But what I found about myself is like the best projects, the submitting like every week, putting something out every week, it doesn't take away from like the
Yeah.
potential of a better project. It actually spurs it on. Like the fact that I did this lockdown one, like, bro, I wrote the script for this thing last Monday and then we shot it on Sunday. And the only reason why I was able to get that on its feet and get all the moving parts together in that one location is because I was in like that flow of like putting something out every week. But that could also just be how I work. But I've just identified that like I work better by putting out stuff on a consistent basis than like thinking about things and sitting back and whatever.
I think that'll make you a good worker. That makes you a good filmmaker.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you. You got
Sure.
documentality. What about are you doing auditions? Are you doing anything else in the acting space, or what are you thinking?
I haven't had an audition this week, but I feel like, you know, very acted out at the moment. I've had a lot of auditions lately. I had another one, you know, late last week. I probably told you about already. Yeah, that had a big one. Had a bunch of them, and paying my agents, managers. I got a bunch of residuals. I think from the Lifetime movies, probably.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. I made a pretty penny. So
oh yeah, dude.
yeah,
Bro, it's
and
funny, those Lifetime ones, the Hallmark ones, it's like you can get in that whole system, you're
oh,
set.
sure. I met a writer on one of those that he's like, yeah, I was an actor, and then I wrote a script, submitted it, they liked it, and then I haven't stopped working as a writer on these things since.
Damn.
Like, must be nice.
There was one girl, I used to work at Innovative Artists, this one like more boutique agency, and they had someone there. Yeah, they had someone there who a client was like known as the queen of Hallmark. I'm blanking on her name, but I would see her checks come in, bro, and she'd be making like 150K in a month. Like she was doing really well.
not a bad gig. Like,
Uh,
uh, I just I feel like for me, that's not what I want out of acting necessarily
I mean,
as a
that's
goal.
not the end. That's not the end game for sure, right?
And it's not even because it's crap, but I just, as we've talked about, I want to be a creative entrepreneur that my through line is doing like really edgy stuff. Edgy is, I looked up the definition of edgy because Tanner is like, Diamond is not really edgy though, is it? And I'm like, it edgy as in different, like on the cutting edge, unexpected. And I like doing stuff that is makes people think, is super beautiful, high production value, like more cinematic than anything, even with value mentality. Like, you know, I'll be a photographer, I'll be, you know, writer and stuff, but I really want to make like epic stuff. So yeah, I think acting is one aspect of that, but I probably eventually as the end goal don't want to like sit back and just, you know, do churn out acting work day in day out. If
Yeah,
it's like on that level, to start, yeah, I'd like love that gig right now because it'd free me up to do other stuff.
right.
But yeah.
I think it's really important to have like a clear idea of what the end game looks like for you. And yeah, again, like staying flexible. But I think, I mean, it gives you the roadmap, right? Like for me, I know that I want to be in theaters, like wide releases. Like that's the end game. And that inspires me. Like that, that also gives you that like macro view of when shit is getting hard. Like, and I can only talk from my experience. I'll if I release something and it gets like 2,000 views or some shit, I'm like, oh, like all I'm doing now is like I don't really want to do this like long term. I just think about, yeah, it's just part of the journey. You remember like the things that inspired you as a kid and like why you want to be on this path in the
Yeah.
first place. So like for you, have you figured that out for yourself? What I mean, I'm hearing the edgy entrepreneur. I love all that stuff. I love how you're more like multifaceted than just you want to be like a famous actor.
It's so tough for me to even imagine myself being like in Martin Scorsese movies and stuff.
Why
Like
is that hard for yourself? I mean, he's pretty
even
old.
as even as a kid, I'm just equating that to like top movies. But even as a kid, like I just for some reason it was so strange to imagine. I've visualized my Oscar speech. And like
I have
I
two, bro.
love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
We're gonna be
Um,
there same night.
dude, same table, same movie.
Hey.
Let's
Let's
do
make it
it.
happen.
Um, but for me, my big experiences that like I sit back on are kind of uh trust me, I write down that like the people that I want to work with and that I can imagine like doing good work with and stuff. But what inspires me is when I think about the big experiences that I've already had on film sets. Same thing for Value Mentality. And when I had them, you're going through it and you're just like, oh, it's so obvious to me that if I had this great of an experience, that I'm in the right business. This is because I know for a fact that other people do not have this experience that just unfolded that I just had. Like when I was doing that indie movie, the fraternity president thing, I was on set acting that with all the extras and stuff and improvising, ad-libbing, have these great experiences. I'm like, I don't think it gets any better in acting. Yeah, it'd be fun working from like a career standpoint, just like a life standpoint with someone you idolized growing up, like a big actor like that. But on some level, I've kind of done that already. Hilarious. I've acted with people that I've seen on TV and stuff.
That must
Um,
be trippy, bro. That's something I haven't experienced. Like when I get to the point where I'm directing someone that I've like grown up seeing their shit, that must be like an out of body kind of. You have to like reorient yourself a little bit.
for me, it's the first thing that comes to mind is the Lifetime movie that I did with I forget her name, but she's the actress that was the mom in Sister Sister. I grew up watching it on Disney Channel. And look, it's not necessarily De Niro, but and also
The mom from Sister Sister.
from all of his
Oh, I
sisters.
don't even know that reference, but I'll have to check it
And
out.
by the way, I worked same thing. Vivica A. Fox from Kill Bill.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and like fucking real scenes of them. And I remember just like thinking like it wasn't outer body. It wasn't like it was just it felt to me like well, what they say is true. It's a small world. No one really gives a shit. They're probably harder on themselves than anyone else. They had probably more pressure because of that. And for me, I know just like in life, it's easy to forget about, but to pinch myself and remind myself that this is a big deal to a lot of people. So don't let it be lost on you. That's not surprising, but that's what it is for me. And that's what it was. And getting to work with them is another little pat on the back of like, hey, I'm right there. I'm not seeming like a loser to these people. I'm if any
You're a colleague at that
your
point.
colleague. And they're stumbling over lines, but they're really
Right.
funny and really great and stuff. And it's just everyone's human. Um, which acting is like the funniest thing with that because people on TV, they're so glorified, but behind the scenes, they're literally just fucking nothing.
Right.
And but no. For back to the original thing of like, what do I see myself as and everything? I I don't trust myself if I have like negative feelings about it. My big thing for me, mental health wise, is like don't trust how you feel. Do it anyway. If you made something a goal, commit to it. But um also, I mean, Yeah, I just know I have a feeling that I'll be doing, there's no reason why I wouldn't be doing the biggest budget stuff, really good work. And I've had little experiences that have hinted at that already, that like, everyone, you feel like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, and people need to see me in this way, that way. But even just the little glimpses I've had, it feels right when you're successful. When you have a little success, you're like, this feels like this feels I'm at home. So
At home is a great way to describe it. Even when I came from the set on Sunday, it was like 5 a.m. And I remember like it was already light out as I was like walking up to my apartment. And I just remember feeling like on such a high. That's when you know you're in the pocket. Like you know you're doing what you're supposed to do. And also I want to bring up too, like, I love how you said you feel like you've already kind of done it, even though they're like directors you want to work with or whatever, or like other actors. It is all the same shit. It's the same thing as like the student films that you worked on or whatever. I love talking to your uncle, the director, about his experience on a set with like fucking, I don't know, like 5,000 extras or whatever, like something ridiculous. And he was like, yeah, no, it's like the same because you just have like way more people on set, but he's not like thinking about the 5,000 extras. He's just there with his DP.
mine has the same bullet points.
Exactly. And I've heard that from, we talked to the guy, Jacob Chase, that horror director, and he told me in a previous conversation that he was surprised. Like once you get past all the trailers and all the bullshit and the crafty, the really nice crafty when you get on a legit set, and then you're there, it's like, oh, like there's my DP, there's the grip, there's the actor, there's the
And
camera.
all the fluff is lost anyway, because you probably have 25 other things to worry about
Totally.
that you wouldn't have on a small film. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, we're doing it.
We're doing it.
We
And you
same
just
thing.
keep creating the goals, laugh, love along the way.
Yeah. I love dude, the journey is a wild thing. I think, you know, it takes a lot of perspective, but I actually like how hard it is because how rewarding it is in like every project you get that's another step up or whatever. Like, oh yeah, like there's this person you really love working with, like you're getting better at the thing. It's such a long road, and I think it, dude, it's supposed to be like that. Like if it were just fucking easy and you were just making shit and like whatever, whatever, and it's like everyone's a director, everyone's an actor, like, nah, dude, like it's all about persistence and just sticking it out and figuring it out.
Yeah, I definitely went from worrying in the beginning about, hey, am I on the right path? Am I on the path at all? To really come to accept that you are, even when you don't know it.
I mean, we've talked about you know, the end of this year and then the real estates that and like all that stuff. We'll
Yeah.
revisit that at the end of the year. However, I just want to point out that us at this point, everyone who's fallen to the wayside, it's already such a win, bro. The fact that we've even stuck it out to this point and we've done the shit that we've done, we have had the wins. It's like it is easy to get used to the new normal, but dude, I
Yeah.
don't know about you, but I would like 2 years ago, the version of myself 2 years ago would be fucking stoked about the shit that I've done up to this point. It's like it's so easy to lose grip of that perspective.
Yeah. I'm trying to think even where I was at 2 years ago. No, but I'm sure I agree though.
It's a long 2 years for me, at least. Like I started more like 3 years. Like I started really taking this seriously maybe 3 years ago. It's a long 3 years.
3 years ago.
But if you
Um,
think about it, like 3 years is nothing, you know? It's like
yeah. Oh yeah. On some level. I mean,
less
yeah,
than
there's definitely a point. It was a while back, but it's like, am I ever gonna get a good agent manager? Go back even further. I was like, can I even learn to act? Some bad acting class. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even. I feel like I can't even do a commercial right now or
right.
like anything. And then that's all like blown away when you see like these TikTok kids that are like so loose and like funny and everything. They've never had an acting class or anything too, but
Yeah.
everyone's on different paths, 100%. And I just heard William Shatner on Dana Carvey and David Spade's podcast. He's Spock in the original Star Trek,
Yeah, I'm surprised he's still alive, honestly.
and not only alive, he's 90, but he's like
Okay.
great shape for 90. It's
Is
insane.
he?
And he's in all these commercials. And he's just like, he's a once upon a time in Hollywood type guy. Like he's an OG. He was a superstar to so many kids and stuff, and we wouldn't know it now, but uh and he's so funny. And I saw him in a serious film, him and Andy Griffith, actually. A really cool movie about these guys, finance guys who had midlife crises and went on a dirt biking trip down to Baja. And it's a thriller. And
They're both older.
they're
Andy
both
Griffith is a legend.
he is.
Watch
And
the whole thing.
he came off the TV show where he played the happy-go-lucky sheriff of this nice
Yeah.
little American town. And this was a role that he tried to counter that image with.
Cool.
And he's so good
Mm.
as this wily kind of like dark but ridiculous villain. And then Andy Griffith plays very well directed. The tone of this is super cool. Quentin Tarantino recommended it.
What's it called?
Called Prey for the Wildcats.
Cool.
And you can only find it on like weird shit. Like I think I watched it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And just like a sneaky slice of life movie.
Yeah.
And so William Shatner was saying on the Dana Carvey David Spade podcast, because he loves comedy, and he's just all those old school actors kind of just like love comedy and stuff, it seems like. And Dana Carvey, David Spade are like students of the arts. Like they just love all types of performing stuff and films and stuff. And so he was talking about when you start pursuing show business, you're 18. Seems like a pretty good idea. He was speaking straight to me. He goes, and you're 30, you look around, your friends that are in normal careers, you're kind of a step behind if you haven't really made it.
Got homes.
They got homes, whatever. You're like, you're kind of your growth a little bit. And then 40, still at it. Pretty tough. 50, that's when you decide, hey, am I doing this anymore? And he's not wrong. He pointed out, especially if you're just an actor, kind of like the what's his name in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Rick Dalton.
Yeah.
Type old school, just like Jimmy Van Patten too. Jimmy Van Patten, fortunately, has so many things going on. Nothing really, but so many things. But like if that's all you had and you hadn't made it by 40, 50, it's like you definitely would. I mean, for me, I try to give myself an out for those very reasons, but there's so many people that have been in that position. He's right. It's super. Oh, and his main thing was he was like, acting, you've nothing to show for it. Even if you're a movie star.
Right.
Like, it's not like, hey, I'm on this sports team or something. And I don't completely agree with that. I think like you should get a grip enough in life to know that, if you were on a Disney Channel show back in the day and you were big to a lot of kids, that's something that even though people might not treat you like you're a big shot in the street, you have to know that it's a big deal to enough people that should mean a success to you, even if it's not your goal.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. Anyway, that's my spiel.
If you I think a good indicator of like if you should stick it out or not is just thinking about like if this wasn't a part of your life. There are certain people that need this regardless if they're successful or not. They need it to be a part of their life. I consider myself part of that. Like, and it's not a right or wrong thing. It's just like integral in me. I know if I weren't directing on a pretty consistent basis, I'd be miserable, bro. For whatever reason, it just gives me so much joy to like be on a set. That's my happy place. So I'm like, I would never, regardless of if people are watching or not, it's just like, it's just in me. I got to continue.
No, I get that completely. That's amazing. Um, for me, I used, I used to definitely feel like that
Mhm.
on some level. Uh, and I do feel like that kind of creatively. I think I definitely have other aspects in which I'd be able to thrive financially and life wise. And I'm obviously a big hobbyist, but like even doing the creative stuff today, I was like, the idea of being able to make money doing this, like being creative and having other people enjoy your work is like so invaluable. I love it. And I love the art of it too. When it's not bullshit. So much of it is bullshit. But is it worth getting through the bullshit so that we can have these experiences? Hopefully the bullshit gets less and less as you get older. And then acting wise, it creatively is satisfying. Hopefully it could be great. I think I could build a body of work that'll be really something that I'm creatively proud of, that I look to that and I'm like, that, I'm meant to do that. And I think I already have on some level. I'm really proud of my stuff. But and being on set, yeah, it feels like I belong. Is it the only thing I can do? No.
Mm.
Who knows? That'll evolve. I mean, I can only imagine writers' rooms, if I'm in the right room, would be an incredible experience
Yeah,
and
I could
all that,
see that.
yeah.
I could see that. I think the other question is like, once you are super old, would there be any regret if you didn't go 100% into it? Or even,
Right.
I'm not even talking about acting specifically. I think even
I
like the
know. Like,
creative part of it, like the creative entrepreneur type thing, it's just an interesting thing to think about. Um,
thinking about that for myself with comedy and impressions and stuff. I'm like, am I meant to be doing that?
you like it, you love that, right?
Yeah, on some
Or
level.
are you saying you're kind of over it?
No, I'm saying, am I missing an opportunity by not like doing like Saturday Night Live and that type of stuff? Yeah.
Dude,
But
how people get on Saturday Night Live is they literally handpick you. Like, yeah, the UCB thing, maybe, but for the most part, it's people online like doing their thing.
I'm more just saying, yeah, should I be building it? And maybe they'll come, maybe they won't. But like, should I
Dude,
be
I
trying to
think,
exhaust that muscle?
bro, I think 100%.
Probably.
Mostly because you're just naturally good at it. People ask me on almost every shoot that I'm on, like, how do you come up with these ideas? They're so like weird and scary and like all the shit. And I'm just like, it's the one thing that I'm really fucking good at. I don't know why, but it's the one skill that comes the easiest to me that I feel like I'm better than most people at. And I feel like the same is for you with impressions and that
Yeah.
whole thing. Cause bro, like it's hilarious. You even saw it like our last conversation with your buddy from college. Like you just started pulling shit out and it comes so fucking like I don't know how you do that, bro. Like you were just going in and out of different impressions and shit, and it was hilarious.
Oh,
So
I appreciate you pointing that out. Thanks. Yeah.
yeah, I think you should absolutely be building a body of work. Why not? I mean, there are only so many hours in a day, and it's always a question of like prioritizing and shit.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it comes down to you and what you're interested in doing, right? Like you can have everyone telling you to do a certain thing,
I know.
until you wrap your mind around it. Like for me, bro, I had to make the conscious decision like, no, you know what? At this point in my life, releasing weekly horror shorts feels really right. And then I'm just get on it. And then I'm like actually doing it. So it's just up to you. At the end of the day, it's like there
I
are
was
only
thinking about I was
things.
thinking about it today. I totally agree. I was thinking about what would my life feel like if I became one of those stand-ups that just like lived doing stand-up, like hung out, just put in my time, threw my stuff out there and saw what I got back. Now that doesn't help everyone. A lot of people just don't actually gain jokes from that, don't build their comedy skills. And then also like I was thinking like, okay, well, what is the best route to getting my sketch comedy, impressions and stuff out there? Do I want to be one of those people that focuses on doing dramatic stuff first and I'm just a funny person behind the scenes? That's kind of how I feel. But then maybe I'd get more dramatic work if I did that comedy stuff on a big level.
But also
It,
a lot of this stuff you can't get clarity by like thinking about it. You just got to be actually trying it.
But I have tried it on some
You
level. Probably not
have.
enough. No, probably not enough, but
I feel like the thing about the stand-up versus social, you have the world stage. Stand-up, how many people are in there? Maybe you can film it and maybe you like it too. But if we're talking like building career, I feel like, dude, I just totally see you. I feel like if you started like a weekly sketch thing, and I've said this to you before, but like I mean like a consistent fucking weekly sketch thing. You have a camera. I feel like you just knock it out of the park, bro. I think that shit would catch. But that's just me.
yeah, maybe I probably got to do that. Yeah.
But again, you don't have
I'm starting to jot down ideas in my phone again. I'm starting to like, yeah. And so now I think the next step with that is like every morning for 10 minutes, look at my ideas from the previous day and start building.
that's cool, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. To be continued.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it like action comes from when it becomes unbearable, when like the thing when not doing it is more unbearable than doing it. And then the tide starts to shift and you're like, okay, now I'm on this train.
I know.
But it's a lot of work.
I think I probably have to exhaust it just because that thing of like if I haven't really given it a shot. I mean, yes, I love the idea of being successful at it. I don't like the idea of grinding at stand up.
Right. Like not doing well, but just grinding for the sake of grinding.
Yeah, same thing as in acting. Like me, if I put my whole heart and made it my own, it'd be sick.
Yeah.
In acting, I have gotten to that point.
Do you know what I think would be helpful? And I have this pact with another horror buddy, Alexander the Titan. He has a great horror channel. We're at least going to do the weekly thing up until the end of the year. Having a benchmark like that, like if you put all your hopes and dreams into your
Yeah.
sketch, that
Yep.
you're setting yourself up for failure. So like if you give yourself 6 months where you're like, I'm gonna release weekly, that'll fucking exhaust it, bro. Then you'll really get a sense of if it's working.
That's what I gotta do. You're right. All right, brother, we got a minute or whatever.
To be continued though, bro.
I love it.
Let's see what's next. I want to see these shots too.
I can't wait to, I'm gonna get them done tonight. They're coming out tomorrow.
Hell yeah, bro. Good seeing you.
All right, brother. You too, man. Talk later. See ya.
Bye.